Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. It is time for another edition of Reviewing Your Music. We are over here on the Twitch platform today, digging through fan submissions, seeing what the fans are bringing to the table. Usually every week it's a heap of talent, but we're going to see. We are going through just the tracks people have passed us in chat, and I'm pretty excited to dig into this, which is, just kind of my vibe every single time we do one of these. They're always a fun time. We're going to link on YouTube all of the artists that we talked about down below, so you can check out the songs for yourself. And, support them if you can, follow them if you can, check them out if you dig their stuff. And, I already saw our first submitter here, Zack Hertz, in chat, so no need to verify his whereabouts, but congratulations. Thank you for coming through. You have been randomly chosen. And as you guys continue to submit, McFarline will continue to randomly choose from the submissions that are being thrown at him. So let's see. Zack Hertz. Zack Hertz username, Zack Hertz artist. Song December, genre lo-fi hip-hop. All right, let's hear what it has to offer. Bam.
Pure bliss, what it means to be a person. Haven't had a single thought since the first hit. What a great purchase. The city looking different since I left. Yeah, this feeling is the best time for sleep.
Okay. Again, that was Zack Hertz, December. Thank you again for submitting, sir. Hold on a second, let me orient a few things on my screen here. In my opinion, not bad at all. I think there were a lot of likable qualities to that track that I'll pretty much go over now. For one, the production was super slick. Loved that pristine, resonant guitar line. Maybe the beat could have used some more variation, but the loop that you had going on there was really cool. I liked all of the clicky, plucky perks that you packed into the beat too. It added a nice kind of counterpoint to the thumpy kick and just kind of the general low end of the whole thing. First verse was quite smooth. I loved how sort of moody and melancholy it was, and there was a little bit of a throaty rasp to it as well, very light, and kind of gave me a Mac Miller vibe to a degree, which isn't too bad. I thought it was embodied pretty well, and the poetry was compelling too. I was not as crazy about the second rapper on the track. Rapping felt a little more stiff and awkward, though. I imagine that's, sort of your guest, and that's kind of out of your control, but that's just kind of my critique there. Outside of that, I feel like what this track really needs is a couple of things. Like, for one, I think the chorus needs to be slightly redone. It is, it's got heart to it, and its intentions are good. But I think the singing is not quite as strong as it could be. It's very nasal. It's a little awkward. I like the melody, and I like the vibe, and I like the rush that it brings. Instrumentally, it's well balanced. The background vocal is quite nice too, but that lead vocal I think could use a redo. Now, I'm not sure if this is your lead vocal, your guest lead vocal. Either way, I think that maybe the answer could be singing it in a slightly lower register, or kind of retooling the melody so that it's in a range that you're more comfortable with, or just singing less from your nose and less from up here and more from back here. If this is in fact your vocal, I can already tell from your rapping that you're rapping back here. You're rapping in kind of a, relaxed tone. And obviously you want the vocal to pop a little bit more timbre-wise, but, I think trying to find a middle ground, between your nose and the back of your throat there, or from your your chest or your stomach, singing from there instead could help quite a bit, because I think the timbre of the vocal could use a little bit of work. But again, the implications of the chorus and the placement of it is good. Obviously you're paying attention to song structure there, so you didn't just let the opportunity of putting a hook in there pass you by, which is good. I also like that you put in the effort there to work in a third verse, the legendary and slowly disappearing third verse, and you had a few trades with your guest, which is always nice for a third. Coasted out into a smooth ending as well. also a tad long. I mean, I don't know. I think that sort of depends on your perspective of third verses. I feel like by today's standards, a lot of, rap tracks don't have third verses. You know what I mean? So I think we've sort of just like gotten a little acclimated to there not being a third verse. But I guess if you're going to extend it out this far, like try to think of more ways to kind of vary up the instrumental so that it doesn't feel like it's going on so long, and I did feel that in a sense, but honestly, it's 4 minutes and 37 seconds. It's not the longest song under the sun. Obviously you can, sort of make that length and time a little more engaging by just kind of bringing more variety, breaking up what you're doing a bit more. So, I would focus more on that than just generally shortening the song. But yeah, structure was good. Opening verse was solid and strong. Loved the vibe. Thought the production was pretty cool. I think from there, you could work on that vocal. And I think you could work on varying it up a little bit so that the last third is a little more engaging or feels a little more refreshing. And, just try to work on ways to put a personal twist. Put a personal twist on your influences and everything so that, they're not quite so obvious or you're kind of approaching them in a different way. And outside of that, I thought it was a pretty decent track. Thank you very much for submitting again. And again, everyone who's watching on YouTube, we have linked Zack Hurt's track December down below, so you can check it out for yourself. All right. As I said, username Alerik Wang, artist Alerik Wang. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I severely, and sincerely apologize. I know I am a dork and am not the best at reading, so I apologize for that ahead of time if I'm not saying it correctly. But the song submitted is Midnight, and the genre is alternative. Which can be taken so many different ways. I guess we'll see what alternative means in Wang's context over here. Nothing else to say, I don't think. So let's just give it a spin and see what is up.
Clock ticking by, unease in the skies. Can't seem to find a safe place to hide. What happens next?
Okay, again, that was Alerik Wang, Midnight, 2021 track. It's obviously up here on Spotify over here. Stream and follow and save if you were so compelled by that track. My own thoughts on it. I mean, in a word, I'll say interesting, just based on the combination of influences alone. I mean, this kind of sad boy / bedroom pop / emo vibe coming together with instrumental bits that sound like they're coming from a video game or like an animation soundtrack. It's not really a sound or I guess a cross section I've heard before, I've thought of before, though in so many ways to me it just makes sense. I thought the vocal was passionate and pretty compelling much of the time, and liked the tune too. I think really like the biggest thing that this track needs work on is really just the mix. Certain things I think needed to come up, certain things needed to come down, certain things I think needed to be re-recorded or kind of retooled. For one, like your distorted guitars that you worked in at one point, your cymbals that you worked in at another point. I could see the effect that you were going for, but for the most part, like these things just kind of sounded like white noise and didn't necessarily like complement the mix and the more, I guess, kind of a colorful and rich and key and piano-based instrumentation that you were throwing in. I mean, maybe with further development, that combination could make a bit more sense. But as of right now, the mix that's presented here is just a little too cluttered and a little too messy. I couldn't quite tell if there was bass. Was it sort of just like the guitar low end getting picked up a little bit and implying like the idea of a bass line, or was the bass just so faint that it was barely there? Either way, I think the bass either needs to come up or we need some kind of bass element enhancing the groove a little bit on this one. There were points where I thought some of the guitar work and the very busy pianos were kind of like, I guess, clashing with each other a little bit and almost like drowning each other out because of how, I guess, cluttered the mix felt. I feel like you have kind of a couple decisions to make here. When you're mixing things and kind of placing things EQ wise and volume wise, you need to decide what is going to be the focal point of the instrumental. Like what is going to kind of be that lead rhythmic element that kind of draws people's attention to the groove and keeps people's ears engaged. And you can't have the guitars and the keys kind of inhabiting the same volume and the same frequencies exactly, or they're just going to be stumbling on top of each other in a very uncomplimentary way. So you need to pick one is really going to, you need to pick which one is going to kind of be the dominant. I'll say with the way that the track sounds now, it sounds like the keys are kind of taking the lead for the most part. So I would just kind of maybe make a little more room for those, and maybe bring the guitar down just a smidge so that the keys have more room to breathe. And then, with what you may feel is missing in the mix on account of the guitars coming down a little bit, try to make up for that with, a simple groove and bass line that will, sort of take up some headspace on the track a little bit. There were some vocal overdubs that I thought went over a little bit sloppy in my view, but I think that's something that you can redo or sort of rethink as you're kind of, possibly redoing the mix on this one, or re-recording certain elements so that they can be remixed better, or just be aware of these sorts of things so that when you're doing another track in the future, because, no reason to sort of tear apart every single song you've ever made. When you're doing another track in the future, just be aware of these, issues, and be aware of these shortcomings so that you don't continue to fall into these pitfalls over and over and over. Because what you've done so far is like showing quite a bit of talent already. I just think things like your instrumental assembly, the tightness of certain things, as well as, again, the mix of how you're kind of presenting these sounds, just kind of need some retooling, which is super doable as long as you're willing to focus on it. And, just not let that sort of thing slip by you as you're kind of making your future tracks. But outside of that, I like the song structure. I thought it came to a climactic ending. Again, I thought the vocals were pretty cool. Some of the, lyrical elements that I was picking up on, the godly ones were quite intriguing too. And again, I'm really kind of messing with the idea of these influences that you have going on here, from, the animation and sort of the video game music to almost like the slight emo undertones too. It's not like personally my, my vibe, but I haven't heard a lot of people doing this. And I think that there's certainly some potential in that. It's definitely a cool combo that I have not heard before. So username Dallas X Mantra, artist Dallas X Mantra, or, Dallas with Mantra, I imagine. The song is Karen, Karen.wav, and the genre is trap cloud rap. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kid Fang. I see you. Do not leave. We're going to play this song, then we're going to go for a break, and we will come back, and then we'll play your track. So don't go anywhere. Okay. All right. Let's give this track a spin and see what it's all about. Karen.wav.
Coming in hot, SUV in the pull up in the lot. Looking for a victim, she gon' pick one freak out, she gon' call it cops.
Sir, thank you for submitting. Thank you for submitting, sir. I guess a few things. To recommend. Look, I can appreciate that it's a novelty track, and that's not a diss against it. I think tracks that are a little novelty, that are a little tongue in cheek, that are a little about trying to poke fun, satirize a very current, I guess recent trend or phenomenon, or sort of like, discussion point, can certainly be worth it. It says also this track is from 2020, where, kind of the Karen thing was at its height. So I can sort of, this kind of feels like a bit of a 2020 vibe, but anyway. Look, I think that tracks of this style that kind of hit in this way are certainly legitimate. They're valid. They're absolutely valid. But if you're going to go that route, like, and you're trying to hit people's, like, like really kind of tear something apart and hit people's funny bone a little bit, I feel like speed, brevity, and punchiness are kind of like your friends. It's sort of like, comedy, anything with comedy, like, really requires tight timing. And there's certainly a comedic element to the points you're trying to make on this track, and to that point, these audio passages of, kind of the Karens going off and so on and so forth, I feel it could be shortened. Obviously they're necessary and they're there, but like, chop it up a little bit, bring it together so it's not dragging on for so long. The beat and the pacing of the beat, I think, could be a little faster and a little tighter. And the message that you're trying to get across here could easily be brought down to like 2 minutes, not 3:30. You know, once we're kind of dragging on through that last minute and 30 seconds of the track, like we've kind of gotten the point, you know, and Karens, they're not that interesting a phenomenon. You can't dig that deeply into them. You know, hitting listeners with like the lewdest, rudest, most vicious things that you could say about them in the shortest, tightest amount of time to like, you know, really hit people in that, oh, yeah, I hate them too. Like doing that as quickly and as efficiently as possible is like kind of the mode that you want to be in. You know, I feel like for a song, just trying to get across the message that this one is, it's taking a little bit too long to do it, you know, like speed it up, get to the point, put your strongest and funniest and most hard-hitting material first. And, you know, and once you do that, I mean, I like the vocals. You know, I thought some of the vocals on the hook were strong. I thought some of the rapping was forceful and in your face and energetic. But that energy, I think, was just kind of dampened a little bit by just the tedious pacing of this whole thing. Like really kind of make the track a bit quicker, speed it up, get to the point and like really rip these Karens the fuck apart. And, you know, I think this track would be in a better way. And look, this is not my recommendation for how all tracks and how all songs should work. You know, this is me specifically making recommendations toward a track that has a little bit more of a comedic, satirical tone and a bit more of a, you know, I guess a kind of a funny bone to it. You know what I mean? And in those scenarios, I think, you know, trying to be as quick and to the point as possible is really kind of key and preferable in most cases. Anyway, obviously, you know, there are exceptions like Weird Al's 13-minute musical epic Albuquerque, which is sort of an absurdist comedy story. But, you know, if you're really trying to lampoon something, being as quick and as to the point as you can be, I think is really kind of the way. You don't want to drag the joke out too long. You know, there's nothing worse than a joke that's dragged out too long. You know, you want to just have it be the right amount of time. But yeah, you know, those are my thoughts. And again, thank you very much for submitting. All right, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, this has been another edition of Reviewing Your Music. The artists that we talked about in this episode, they're linked down below, so you can check out their stuff down there. This has been amazing. This has been fantastic. And, this has been amazing. This has been fantastic. You guys are the best. Anthony Fantano. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Reviewing Your Music forever.